Not long ago, your board of directors approved a donation to CESDAC for them to use in the method which they would provide the greatest help, I think is the safe way of saying it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have you decided how you'll be using the money?
Yes, we actually use the money to cover some of the costs with an arts program, where we have a contract with Erie Albright to Center Arts and USD Arts to come and do a music program for the people supported and actually art, and it's very, very beneficial. It helps the people supported, to get in touch with music, to art, and to see the joy on their face is very rewarding. So we feel like those are money well spent, and the turnout that we have for people who participate, it's really awesome. It's more than what we thought was going to be. So.
Well, we're going to have to get to the picture taking because Rich has had that smile frozen on his face through the entire time. So thank you for all that CESDAC does to help in the community, and our congratulations on your...
Okay. Eric Peterson comes to us from Williston, and I apologize if I make mistakes with names, State College in Western North Dakota. Let's see, North Dakota from 2005 to 2009, then MSU Moorhead from 2009 to 2011, back to Williston from 2012 to 2014, USD from 2014 to 2018 as an assistant coach, then 2018 to 2021 at Utah State, 2021 to 22. I got those backwards. It was Utah, then Utah State, is that right?
Utah State first, then Utah.
Utah State, then Utah, thank you. 22. And now he is the head coach of the Coyotes since March of this year. Peterson hails from West Salem, Wisconsin, and graduated from University of Wisconsin La Crosse in 2006 with a bachelor's degree in physical education. He earned his master's degree at USD in 2016 as interdisciplinary studies with a concentration on sports management and education. Peterson and his wife, Lindsay, have a daughter, Flynn, and 3 sons, Isaiah, Briggs, and Bowen. Please welcome Eric Peterson.
I may or may not use the microphone. I'll just have to use my coaching voice. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. So a lot of stops along the way, but happy to be back here in Vermillion. I left for 4 years, and when you move your family a lot, you learn a lot about different cultures, different parts of the U.S., and I was sitting at the table, and I'm from Wisconsin, so I love cheese, right? And I love potatoes, so the cheesy potatoes were really good, right? And it made me think of a story. So we moved from here to Utah State, and when we move in, everyone's bringing like treats and putting them on our doorstep, and there's like a little deal like, hey, we're having a cookout for you guys in the neighborhood. So my wife reaches out like, hey, what do you want us to bring a side? And they're like, yeah, just, bring whatever. So we bring cheesy potatoes, right? Everybody in the Midwest eats cheesy potatoes. So we bring them, and we've got 2 huge things of them, and they're looking at us. Everyone's just staring at us. And we're like, what? Well, they only have cheesy potatoes at funerals in Utah. So they thought somebody died. And so the mood went from here, we walk in and it was just like something dropped and broke on the floor and they're just staring at us. So we learned that we probably shouldn't bring that to a cookout. So it's good to be back where I can have some cheesy potatoes for lunch. I was here for 4 years and had a great experience. The first 2 years were a little bit rough. We went through the D2 to D1 process and came back. Our 3rd year, we won the conference championship for the first time in the Summit League. And then our last year here, we won 26 games and lost in the championship game to South Dakota State. So I think about that a lot. So it's great to have my family back here. We love living here. obviously our resources, we have so much stuff that a lot of other schools don't have, and you don't really realize that until you leave and come back. So you go to the Mountain West, and at Utah State, it was San Diego State, Colorado State, Wyoming, Boise State, New Mexico. And I tell everybody this, I tell recruits this, I would put our facility above every single one of those facilities in the Mountain West, okay? And then I go to Utah in the Pac-12, and I would say that UCLA's gym, probably a little bit nicer, a little bit more history there, right? It's UCLA. Arizona, probably better. Utah, probably better. But I would say, like, Oregon's fourth probably in the Pac-12. I would say our facilities are right up there with Oregon's. So, I mean, you leave and you think everything's going to be so much nicer and better, and it's not, right? I think if you haven't been to games in other facilities, you don't appreciate what we have as much as probably I do. So we have a great facility here, and part of the reason I came back is we have everything here to be successful, all right? And that's why I'm here. I want to get that program back to the championship game in the Summit League tournament and eventually win one of those games. So I'm excited to be back. Gone for 4 years, but when you move back, it feels like you never left. It really does. And I think I spoke here 1 year that I was an assistant coach. So it's good to be back at the Rotary. And I probably will just hang out. And now that I know that it's every Thursday, or is it Wednesday? In the hallway, just to see if I get invited in to have another meal with you guys. So, no, I hired a great staff. One of our staff members is here. Casey Brueggemann, just stand up, Casey, my guest. Casey's our director of operations, and I always say who's directing the operation here when something goes bad, and he doesn't make too many mistakes. The story I tell about our ops guys is we've had two here the first time, and both of them were single when they came. Casey, I call him Brugge because we have two Caseys on our staff. Brugge is single, he's a bachelor, but both of them got married under my supervision. So Monty Ritchie, I don't know if you guys remember Kendra. Kendra worked in admissions and did a lot of the college tours. Monty was her ops guy, set them up, and now they're married and they live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and they have two kids. And then the other one you probably know, his name is Rick Carius. Rick was our ops guy. Well, who's our women's coach? Kayla Carius. So the odds are pretty good, Brugge, under my supervision, that we will find somebody for you here in Vermillion. So, and if you guys have any ideas, I'll be here for like 10 minutes afterwards. Just let me know. I'll take some good notes. So, Casey's our director of operations. Hired Casey Kasperbauer. I don't know if you guys remember Casey. He was on staff previously, and I coached Casey for 2 years. Probably one of the best shooters and one of the smartest players I've ever coached. This is the only time this has ever happened in a game, and Cass, you coached him too. Casey's shooting a free throw. And I think we're at Minnesota, and we beat Minnesota in double overtime, all right? But if he would have made this free throw, and if you know Casey, he's like a 93%, maybe all-time leader in free throw percentage. Well, they throw him the ball, and the other team calls a play. He steps off the line, and he says, Coach, they're running Tommy. And he gets up and he misses it. And I'm just like, Casey, you could make the free throw and just tell us the play call after that, and we wouldn't be in double overtime with the Gophers. We would beat them in regulation. But my point is, Casey's one of the smartest guys I've ever coached, and he's really good for us right now. I hired Pat Eberhardt. You probably saw Pat on the sidelines with Nebraska Omaha. He was there for 11 years. Excellent coach, a lot of ties to the area. And then I hired Brandon Ubel. Brandon played at Nebraska for Doc Sadler. If you see Brandon walking around campus, he's 6'10". He's got red hair. You can't miss him. But was an unbelievable player, played at a high level overseas. Craig Smith, my former boss who was here, coached him for 1 year at Nebraska as well. So that's how I got kind of hooked up with Brandon, and he was with us for 2 years at Utah State and 1 year at Utah. So I think we got a great staff with us. Hope to see you guys at some games. Our team, a little bit about our team. We have 8 new guys and 8 returners, so it's kind of split right down the middle. The intriguing part is we have 5 guys on our team right now that have been all-conference players at some point in their career. They've never been all-conference players together, but they've been all-conference players at some point in their career. And probably one of our most productive players right now is a guy that's never been all-league. Does anybody know who Damani Hayes is? He looks like he should be playing football. He's about 6'5" and can bench press, I don't know, more than that table. Like he's super strong. We do like ratings every single week. And this past week with Simpson College, Damani was the top offensive rating and he was the top defensive rating. And he's a guy that he's never going to get any credit. But those are the guys that I always want to talk about, because you guys will notice AJ when he's healthy to play. You guys will notice Cruz, Mason, Paul Bruns, you probably saw play at North Dakota when he was here. Tassos, you'll notice Tassos, but Damani's probably not going to get much credit. And he's kind of the guy that is making our team go right now. So really appreciate him in what he's about. One of the things that we tried to get across when we got hired was just changing the culture to be more of like a GATA mentality, right? And that's what we were the first time we were here. GATA is an acronym. It's an old football acronym for get after their butts, right? So, and that's kind of the culture we're trying to create every single day in practice. And Damani, we have like a big wrestling belt. Do you guys remember when, I don't know, does anybody watch wrestling? They always have those belts that they carry when they win the championship. We have a GATA belt. So it's a pride deal. Whoever's the toughest guy every week in practice gets the GATA belt. So Damani's right now, he has our GATA belt, and I'm not sure it's going to change anytime soon. So no, so the other guys, Mason's back. Mason's a fifth-year guy. He's from Rapid City. Love Mason. USD is his dream school. Excited about him. And then Cruz and Tassos are listed on the roster as juniors, but they're technically seniors, right? They've been here. They'll graduate. Two guys that have been all-league guys. And then everybody's been asking about AJ. His knee was cleared. But he hurt a ligament in his hand, and he's been held out of practice for like the last 10 days. So I don't know when he'll be back. He practiced a little bit yesterday. Hopefully we can get him back for our season opener on Monday, but we'll see where that goes. So Monday, we play at Wisconsin. It'll be on the Big Ten Network, so if you have the Big Ten Network, tune in. They've won 2 of the last 3 Big Ten championships. It's a really good test for us. It'll be in the Kohl Center. They'll drop the banner that they won the Big Ten last year. There'll be 18,000 people there. So it's an exciting game for our guys. And then we come home on Wednesday, and I actually am the fun guy and brought goodie bags. I'm not going to make you guys pay money for anything. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and you get a goodie bag if you get it right. So first question, who is our home opener against, and where are they from? It's next Wednesday. Does anybody know? I'll give you a hint. Does anybody know Don Meyer, who was at Northern State? He coached at this school before he came to Northern State. They were an NAI team at the time. Does anybody know? Lipscomb. Yep, you got to raise your hand. There's the first goodie bag. Okay, so in the bag is, I think it's a tumbler. It's a blaze orange hunting hat, which I'm sure you'll pull off really, really well. Yep. I better see you at the game wearing that thing. And there's 2 tickets to the opening game. So if you already have tickets, give it to somebody. Let's get a lot of people at that game. So the mid-major poll came out yesterday, and we're receiving votes. But the cool part is we actually play 8 games against those teams in the mid-major poll. So we play BYU. We play Oral Roberts twice, obviously, could play more. South Dakota State. Sam Houston's in one of our tournaments down in Fort Myers. They're receiving votes as well. And then at home, we play UC Irvine, and then we have Lipscomb. So I think we got a really, really good schedule. If anybody knows, like, has come to a lot of games, it's really hard to get teams to come to Vermillion, just with our location. And then when teams think you're going to be good, they don't want to play you. So I thought we did a good job getting a few Division I teams here that are competitive, that'll be very good games. So hope to see you at some of those games. Practice. So today is our 25th practice since the season started. It's hard to believe. And then our opener is on Monday. But things that we talked about just being a little bit more GATA, taking charges. And I was going to show you, I always try to teach you guys something when I speak. And I was going to show you our ball screen defense, but I don't know if we got enough room up here to show the ball screen defense. So, Brugge, do you want to show the charge? Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so we're going to teach you guys how we take charges. Is that all right? Okay. Brugge's pretty GATA. So I don't want to get hurt because I got to coach Monday, so Brugge's going to take it. But if I'm dribbling at Casey, all right, and he's got to stay set, right? There's a charge circle underneath the basket. Is everybody aware of that? So you can't take a charge in that area. If you're in there, you got to jump straight up, and if you don't jump, it's an automatic foul. So Brugge's got to get outside the charge circle, all right? And when I'm coming at him, number one, he's got to tuck his chin, right? Because if he doesn't tuck his chin and his head goes flying back, he's hitting his head on the ground, okay? Second thing is he's just kind of protecting himself right here, okay? And the third thing is being a great actor, right? You got to sell the contact, and he's got to yell, right? And so we try to teach our guys this. Not that we're going to flop and try to fool the official, because this year they changed the rule, and you guys will see this when you watch games. If you try to flop and fool the official, it's an automatic technical foul. Last year they got a warning, and then the second one was a technical. This year they're just like, hey, it's automatic. You get 1 free throw, and it happened against Simpson. You get 1 free throw, and then you get the ball. So we're not teaching our guys to flop, but if they're in the right position, we want them to take a charge. If you've seen our team, Tassos is about 6'6". We don't have a lot of rim protection. So we're not taking more charges this year. So if I'm coming at Brugge and I run him over, he's got his feet set, he can't be moving, he's got to be square, he's covered up, his chin is tucked, and I lay that right there. Yep, and he falls and he throws his hands up. Yep, and that's how we take the charge. So hopefully you.
Soccer games.
Yeah, that too. We do have some international guys, so they're a little bit, more flamboyant and selling that thing during practice. So no, it's been good. 25th practice, talking about just being more Gaeta. Playing defense. The top 2 teams in our league usually make the NCAA tournament. Out of the last 10 years, there's been 1 year that one of the top two teams didn't make the NCAA tournament for defense, all right? And that was Oral Roberts. There's nobody in the stands, and they were just a very good offensive team, and that's the team that made the Sweet 16s. I think they were 4th in defense in the league that year. So we got to be 1 or 2 on defense in our league to have a chance to do that, and that's what we've been working on. Communication's been a huge part for us. We got a lot of guys, a lot of experience, but we got a lot of young guys that don't like to open their mouth either. And a lot of this stuff, we talk about basketball, but we talk about life, right? You got to be able to communicate with whatever you do outside of basketball, with your wife. I struggle with that. No, I'm kidding. With your family, with your job, whatever you do. Competing. We talk about competing every single day too. You get outside of basketball, you got to compete in life. No matter what you do, you got to be competitive and you got to work for it. So a lot of this stuff just relates to everything we do. And then one of the biggest things, I get to ask this question a lot in interviews because I worked with Craig Smith for 8 years. And Craig's a phenomenal coach, did great things here. We did great things at Utah State. We made 3 straight NCAA tournaments. They always ask me what's the number one thing I learned from Craig. And the number one thing I learned was just never having a bad day. And I mean, he showed up every single day and was consistent with his attitude, energy, effort. And maybe he was having a bad day, but I could never tell, never. And when you don't have any bad days, it's hard for your players to have a bad day, right, at practice. So that's one thing I learned from him, and I've taken that with everywhere I've been. So I have a couple other trivia questions, and then I'll open it up to some questions from you guys, all right? And hopefully we can get some of these, and hopefully we have some Coyote fans in here. So first question, who led our team in three-point shooting percentage last year? He's a returner.
Cruz.
Raise your hand.
Cruz.
Nope, it's not Cruz. Mason Archambault. Yep. Round of applause. Good job. Now, it was really close. I think they were like 0.3 or 4 off. So they were both right there. Mason edged him a little bit. How many more bags do I got? 3? 4? Got 4 more bags. Okay. Next one. How many conference championships in the Summit League have we won, and what year was it? I told you when I start talking. I gave you guys the answer when I start talking. 1?
17? 18.
Not 17. 18. Well, okay. It'd be one number to the next number. So it started in, just tell me what year it started in. 17. It wasn't 18. 16. Who said 16? Way in the back, right there. So it was 16, 17. It was year 3 for us. Our last year, we took second, and that was the year we played in the championship game against the team over there. Next question. This is going back a little bit, all right? Career leader in three-point field goal makes out of anybody that's played at USD. Cass, you probably can't answer this. Nope, it's not Casey. He was fiery. He was in the Hall of Fame probably my last year here. Josh Mueller, yep. Round of applause. Good job. Okay, I love this guy. I saw him this summer, and he's always stayed in touch with me. But career leader in blocks.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. I think like he played here for 4 years. The 3 years he's at the top for each year in blocks. He's from Rochester, Minnesota. Does anybody know? Nope. You're thinking the first name's correct though. Tyler somebody. Tyler somebody.
So famous he only needs one name.
Cass, you can answer. Tyler Kane. You guys remember Tyler Kane? Good job, Cass. Tyler's still playing. I think he's in Italy right now. I got to meet him and his wife this past summer during the Boots Endowment deal. So what do we got? One left? Two? I don't know if I got two questions. We'll see. Okay, next one. Career leader in scoring. All-time leading scorer at USD. Believe it was in the 90s.
Chuck Iverson.
Not Chuck Iverson, but that could be the next question. Yep, late 80s, early 90s. First name is Tim. Tim Hatchett. You got it right here. Round of applause. Good job. Hey, next time when I speak here, you guys are going to be going through the record books, just looking up all the information. So, last question. We got one left? Yep. Okay. Career leader in rebounds. Somebody already said it. Raise your hand. Not Hagedorn. Somebody just said it for points. Chuck Iverson, you got it. Good job. I'll open up some questions, but thank you guys for having me. This is fun. Hope you guys can make some games this year. I think we got a really good team. First one right here.
Now, one of your coaching predecessors said that 80% of winning is recruiting. First, do you agree with that? And second, how's your recruiting?
Yeah, so I would agree with that to some extent. You got to have really talented players to win games, right? I've seen some really good coaches that don't have the talent, right? And I can't legally tell you guys about the guys we signed. Signing week is next week, so I can't comment on that publicly. But we've got commitments from 3 players. You guys have probably seen it, and I'm really happy with those 3 players. The difficult part right now is, like Cruz has another year technically. Tassos has another year technically with the COVID year, so they get that year back that they played with COVID. So we could have more scholarships in the spring. We just don't know, right? If those guys decide to come back, we're taking them back. They're great players. They're coming back. Could they go and play pro? No question. Both those guys could do it, make a lot of money doing it. So I'm really happy with the 3 guys that we signed this fall, or that we will sign this fall. And then, just based on who leaves, that's kind of how we'll fill in the gaps. But you got to have good players. You really do. And if you look at the Summit League and who's won it, like usually the most talented team wins it. But I will say this, when we were here, we won a lot of games. I'm not sure we were the most talented team. I think we had the best chemistry. At Utah State, if you would have watched us show up at the gym, we beat teams like Florida. Florida was a top 10 team in the country. We beat LSU in Jamaica, top 20 team in the country. San Diego State was a top 5 team in the country. And if you watched us walk in, you'd be like, there's no way Utah State's going to win this game. But we had better chemistry, and we were really well coached as well. So I think recruiting is important. Recruiting good people is really important, but having great coaching and great chemistry, you need all 3 of those things to win championships.
How many countries? I have heard 5. Is that correct?
Is that right, Brugge? Sweden, Romania, Greece, and New Zealand. 4. Yeah. So when I told you guys the story about the potatoes, like there's different, you talk to all these guys. I was in Romania this summer, and I actually met with Mihai, as our Romanian, his family. And you just learn a lot about the culture over there. So it's kind of cool. And I told our guys in our first team meeting that one of the best parts about coaching is bringing guys from all over the place together and making them a team. Now, if you look at who we're about to sign, I think our focus is going to be on kids from the Midwest that are high school kids that we can develop and have here for 3 or 4 years. I don't know. The transfer portal, if you guys have heard about it, now you can transfer one time and not sit out. So that kind of changes that dynamic. There's some really good players that might try to get picked up by some higher level schools. The bottom level guys might think, hey, I can't play here, I'm not going to play, and they might leave. And then you just try to maybe hope to keep some of the guys in the middle around for a long time, and that comes with relationships, that comes with recruiting good people. So I think our focus will change to mainly high school kids. We took 2 transfers this past year. Paul Bruns, well, he's from Dakota Valley, right? So I know there's a thing with Vermillion in Dakota Valley a little bit, but he's a great kid. We got him from UND, so that's even better. And then Mihai, the kid from Romania, I actually recruited at Utah State for 2 years. I saw him play live in Romania. I had already met his family. So I think there's some exceptions where you know the kid and you know what they're about versus just taking some kid that you randomly called from some school in Florida and bringing them to Vermillion, South Dakota. We want guys that understand this place and love South Dakota and want to be here. And if they don't, they're just going to leave anyways. So that's kind of our plan.
Were you able to recruit any graduate students through the portal?
We didn't take any grad students, no. Paul's a sophomore and Mihai's a sophomore. And that's the other part I forgot to say is probably the transfers are going to be guys with multiple years left if we take them, not just come here for 1 year and then they're out. I think it just means something more to our school, and they're going to be the guys that care about our program 10 years from now because they were here for 3 years. Yes?
So Mason and Cruz Hunt had entered the portal.
Yep.
Was it in great part because they were unsure of who you were, and did you have to convince them to stay because they are both staying?
All of the above. All the questions up here. No, there wasn't a D. It should be D. No. Mason just went in the portal right away. Some of these guys don't know what that is or what it entails. So Mason goes in the portal and like 60 coaches call him. But they've never watched him play, and now Mason's really confused. And I'm like, Mason, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, my girlfriend goes to Omaha, or to Creighton. She's at Creighton in dental school. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'd really like to go to Creighton. I was like, okay, does everybody know Ryan Miller? Ryan's a South Dakota guy. I said, here's Ryan Miller's number. Call him, see if they want you. And if they don't, or you come back, he's like, yes. So I think within a week, Mason came back. Mason said South Dakota's his dream school. And that was my thing. It's like, well, why are you leaving if this is your dream school? You want to make the NCAA tournament here? Let's do it. And so it didn't take Mason long. Cruz went on a couple visits, which is his right to do. And I think he kind of saw, like, it's not always greener on the other side, right? And all of his friends were here. And I think it's a place that he saw, like, we can win this year. And I think those guys coming back helped us keep Tassos out of the portal as well. But it's a scary thing when you get in there because you're getting so many calls, it's almost overwhelming. And a lot of people, all they do is just call the name on the list, and they don't know anything about them. You know what I mean? So, yes, we had to recruit them back. I think if they wouldn't have came back if they didn't truly care about this place. So I'm excited to have them. Yes?
I noticed in the Simpson game, Hill was shooting lights out. What's his story?
Yeah, Javon, this is a good story about Craig Smith, too. So I'm in Indianapolis this spring, and I had recruited Texas everywhere I've been, and Javon's actually from Wichita, but he was playing AAU with the Texas team. And so I was watching this team, and it's called Coos Elite, and they're playing a Utah team. So I'm sitting there, and who comes in the gym? My former boss, Craig, and he comes and sits right next to me, and he's like, hey, you're watching the Utah guys? And I wasn't, but I'm like, yeah, I'm watching the Utah team. And Javon's 6'9", he kind of still looks like a baby deer, but he can really play offensively. Defensively, we don't have enough time to talk about Javon defensively because he needs a lot of work. But offensively, he's really good. So Javon has 7 threes in the first half, and he's ready to graduate and play, so he's not in the book. And Craig's sitting there, and how many people know Craig Smith? Usually it was my job to get him organized, to tell him who to watch. Well, I wasn't there anymore. So he's got this book, and he just keeps paging. He's not even watching the game because he's trying to figure out who this kid was. And I knew he was he just couldn't figure it out. And he was really frustrated. So it's halftime. We start talking about something. Javon comes out in the second half, crosses a kid over, pulls like a 27-foot jump shot in a kid's face, and he looks at me and he goes, you're here to watch that kid, aren't you? And we both just start laughing. I'm like, hey man, I don't work for you anymore. I'm trying to get my own players now. So Javon didn't have one other scholarship offer, which is amazing. I think in a couple years, people are going to be wondering, how did you get that kid? He's so talented offensively. Every time he shoots it, he missed one shot and it went like this and then popped out. Every time he shoots it, I think it's going to go in. Now, I don't know where he's at this year because he's really struggled defensively. And we talked about to get to where we want to go, we got to be an elite defensive team. So it might take him a little bit longer on the defensive end. But you see what I see. He's 6'9", shoots it really high, and it's really hard to contest his shot. And I think he got fouled on the other one that they missed. So yeah, that's my story about Javon. Anything else? Thank you guys for having me. I'll stick around for 10 minutes if you want to say hi. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Sue, you're next week, is that correct?
I probably won't be here next week.
Do we have anybody to volunteer for Sergeant at Arms? Sergeant at Arms? Love to have you. Okay. Expect calls, something?